What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking out the Fully Vetted Show. This week I had a friend of mine come on, somebody that I served with. We talked through some of the struggles each of us had with our transition out of the military. So I hope it helps, and I hope you enjoy it. Check it out. What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, Jordan.
So I'm really excited that I've actually started having some friends on, man. It's cool to be able to do this with you guys.
Yeah, man. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing with Ross, but yeah, I know we have that little group chat, and I was like, man, like how cool is that?
Yeah,
it's always cool to see someone doing something productive or something.
Yeah, man. So with me is my buddy Jon-Michael. He was with me in my unit. We served together. We were in the same platoon for a long time. You want to go ahead and just do like a short synopsis of your background and your MOS, what you did, and just kind of let everybody know?
Yeah, man. So I think I enlisted in like 13, 14, shortly after high school. Was in depth for like almost a year. It's like cuts off at like 364 or something. Finally got in, had to enter the depth again, finally got in. I think that was like March, April 2015, somewhere around that time frame. Parasol, of course. Are you West Coast or East Coast, Jordy?
No, East Coast, man.
Yeah, East Coast. So
swamps.
Yeah, San Felice Central.
Yeah, buddy.
So had my little boot camp there, graduated that, and then went to Geiger. And I kind of got shoved into the machine gunner role. It was kind of an option, but not really.
That's what Ross said.
Yeah. It's which I heard that about Ross, but Ross kind of, I think he underplayed himself a little bit. Believe it or not, you do have to have a little bit higher of a GT score.
Yeah,
machine gun, but
you have to be technical for sure.
Yeah, but I know 52s, you guys had to have an even higher. But it was kind of like draft day, like that weapon split hit, and then you're standing there with everybody in their high fades or whatever. You're scared shitless.
It was draft day, wasn't it?
Yeah, dude. They just got you out there, and I think my instructor was Sergeant Thompson. I haven't even checked Facebook or anything to see if I could find him, but yeah, he pulled me to the side and asked me what my GT score was, and he's like, "You're coming with me." So it wasn't really much of an option. But I mean, I had already had it predetermined. I kind of wanted to do that anyway.
You were built like a machine gunner, so it was kind of fitting.
Yeah. I enjoyed it, man. I think I watched Black Hawk Down when I was a kid, and I was like, "That's some cool shit."
Yeah,
which is ironic because we were in CAT, so
I know.
So machine gun school, that whole shebang. Don't remember the graduation. Don't remember none of that, but I do remember. At the end of graduation, they tell you where you're going, and I can't remember who came. It was me, Burgess, Chapman. There's a handful of us. I'm not going to try and name them off because I'll miss a ton.
Man.
I'll miss a ton.
You start offending dudes.
Yeah, man. And then we got on that bus and we got dropped off at 2-8 and 2nd Battalion 8th Marines, and that's where the new life began as an infantry machine gunner.
Yeah, dude. I remember having an instructor be like, "Yeah, it says Victor 2-8. You're going to a Victor unit." And I was like, "What's a Victor unit?" And he was like, "It's an infantry unit." And I was like, "Aren't we at infantry school? Like, why would I not be going to an infantry unit?" And then I kind of learned about how some dudes kind of get tasked out to do non-infantry shit.
Yeah. Which the infantry unit was a blessing in disguise. I mean, obviously there's things that we got to do that not any O3s get to do. And
dude, I've always said, like, if my kids want to go military when they become of age, dude, if you want to join any branch, do any job, good on you. But if you join the Marine Corps and you're not infantry,
you're not doing it. Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, I mean, you got to you got to do that. And that's the bread and butter.
Which, I mean, I have. I don't want to say the word, or rather the acronym. We've got a lot of great viewers on this show, and we love them all. We've already talked about the brotherhood and how that's a term of endearment, and we've already hit that. There's no distastefulness when you hear the word pogue.
No,
it's just something that we say. man, I have tons of buddies that were. I don't look at them any
No,
different.
it's like the military N-word, I guess.
Yeah. Especially when you're a veteran, it's really the military N-word.
Yeah.
It's good banter, like when you're in the whole back and forth thing.
Yeah, I've always told them, I was like, there's a level of arrogance that we have that it's kind of necessary for the job. Like you have to be that arrogant.
Oh man, and that's something that that's one of my, man, I'll tell you, that's one thing that I struggled with. I think once I got out and I hit my dark spell, my psychiatrist calls it the decompression stage. I felt
it's true though,
which I'm still, I'm still in that weird phase, but
dude,
I felt I felt almost like I didn't do my due diligence in like we did. I wish we would have taken more pictures together. It sounds silly.
Oh fuck, man, me
dude,
too.
It sounds dumb and silly, but I wish I had more pictures with everybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we were in the shit sometimes and we hated it. Like we were miserable. And it's like, I wish we would have got pictures then and pictures of the good times.
I know.
And it's like, I don't have a lot of things to show my kids because that was like uncool.
Yeah, but now you go on Instagram now and you see these guys like dropping dope pictures and you're just like, dude, man, it's like, I wish I took those pictures.
I did that stuff. I don't have the memories to show my daughter or
I know.
family. But
we were talking about doing an intro for this show. We were like, Matt was like, send me over all the videos you got. I was like, I've got nothing we could make an intro out of.
Yeah, man.
Like I took no videos, no pictures, nothing.
No, that's a big regret I have is because which my memory is pretty jacked anyway, but I wish I had more pictures, videos, of the whole thing, because it's that weird stigma of like being too gung ho or
it's like you're being too try hard.
Yeah, but it's like at the same time in our job we were all secretly like, I loved it, man. I was all about it. I thought it was so badass. We were the modern day warriors. I mean, so
I don't have as many as I would like, but I mean, it's all too often I'll pop open my laptop. Like I feel like I'm like looking at porn. Like I'll go like crawl into the room, open my laptop and start scrolling through my old military photos. I don't want anyone to catch me. Like it's weird. It's like I'm like have like this secret weird fetish of like I gotta go. I just want to go relive a little bit of it because it sounds weird, but no one in my household would care. But it's just like I feel like I have to go off into a corner and just have my moment to kind of relive it.
Yeah, man. I think that for me, like I still crave that like chaos that like controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Because like there's power in that.
Yeah, it's like even at work when people complain about shit, they'll be complaining about what we're doing at work. And you have to almost like you have to suppress yourself from not saying like, you think this is hard?
Yeah.
Like, this is a bad day? This is the most boring shit I've ever done.
I got 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah. Oh,
what? I did. I remember I found this out on my way out the door, like with the whole claim system and stuff. And I had some serious neck problems, which I initially wasn't going to claim that, but I was like, something's wrong here. But, I remembered whenever we all got selected for CAT, like when we went, do you remember the Humvee course where we had to like learn how to drive the Humvees and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, dude, when I was in that course, the head instructor, he was like I don't know, maybe a corporal, I don't know, sergeant. But he was like, how tall are you? And I think when I first enlisted, I was like,
I remember this.
Dude, I was like 2 inches over. Like I wasn't supposed to be in a driving.
You're too tall to fit in a Humvee.
Yeah, dude. And I was like, well, dude, I was like, my unit sent me here. They need me. Like, might as well just push it through. And I don't know. I actually
like I have no choice. I'm here.
And believe it or not, man, I have some sort of like spinal compression problem where I've shrunk 2 inches since 2015.
Really?
Yeah, dude. So yeah,
it's funny because I was 5'10" when I joined. My driver's license still says 5'10", and I measure 5'9".
Yeah. Well, see, I think
I shouldn't have said my height on the internet. God, that's embarrassing.
I just won't say mine. I just won't say mine.
Yeah.
But dude,
So what are you dealing with body wise?
oh man. Well, I mean, I'm dealing with it pretty good now. When I got out, man, I was still like, oh, freedom, freedom,
Yeah.
Which
Everybody gets their freshman 15, right?
dude. Yeah. And it was incredible, which I'm not going to go into detail about that part yet, because I'm sure you'll ask that later on. But after I got out of my little dark spell, man, like I felt, pretty good physically, I guess as good as I can for my, what was wrong with me. And I actually got into bodybuilding like pretty hard, dude. I started, and I mean, just like anybody else, it started like just a little hobby, and kind of like a place for me to blow off steam. But then I wanted to see what I could do with my body, because I'm naturally big and tall, and it's not that it's a cop out, but it's harder for someone my size to kind of look the part of a bodybuilder. So I got so into bodybuilding. I went from 235. It took me about 2 years, maybe a year and a half. I got all the way up to 280. I was 280. Yeah, man. And
you're a Viking,
dude. Yeah, I was a big boy, and I mean, I still felt pretty good as far as like having that much mass on my frame, and I think it had to do with me staying fit, like kind of enduring through the pain. Like I think one thing that I realized, especially after getting out, was I was in pain all the time, but it was like not necessarily minimal, but it was at an amount to where I kind of didn't realize I was in it. I would only feel pain if I stopped doing things for a couple of days or a week or two or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny. I went through a lot of cycles of doing the same thing with working out, and well, I mean, like you go through periods of time where, like when I say cycles, no, not like cycles, no.
Friend alone.
No, man, this is all natural, man. There's no tea in this. But the thing is that when like you called it dark spells, and it's a good, because spells is a good way to put it, because you're going through, like, it's not a whole, it's not like from this point to this point. It's just sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's not. Like I could have a great day, and feel great, and then a week I feel like I'm depressed and miserable. Yeah. But like when you hit those dark spells, you're not motivated to work out, you're not motivated to keep your routine, you're not motivated to eat right. You go, it's like being in the field. You're like, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to like crank monsters and eat crappy, eat MREs, and just like whatever happens in my body happens, because you don't care. You're just, like there are times where you don't, but that's when the pain would really set in. If I stopped being active and focus on my body and stick with my routine, that was really like when all of a sudden, next thing you knew, it was like shoulders, neck, back, hips, legs, knees, everything would hurt. Yeah.
And I don't know, which our job, shout out to the 11s, man, but I don't know if you remember, and I don't know why we did it. I think we did it again, you mentioned the word arrogance, and I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah,
but
dude,
when we went to Bridgeport, do you remember we took our systems with us? We didn't
50 cals on your shoulder hiking up mountains.
Yeah, and then a lot of the 11s, love you guys, man. But there was it was just that friendly banter, like, you guys never hike.
It's all about competition, man.
Yeah, man. You never hike. You're always in your Humvees, and it's like, okay, hold my beer.
Dude,
and that was.
I remember what's that? Go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, that to me was like a pretty big gut check, because it's like, here we are rucking with these 60-pound receivers, like keeping up, and then also exceed, like going past them because they're dropping like flies, and it's like, well, I need to be back there too, because I'm dying, but I'm too stupid to, like, I'm just being arrogant and prideful, and I'm just gonna go throw up when no one's looking.
Just like put your body on the line.
Yeah, just because you could.
Yeah, because why not? I remember we were attached to Echo Company, and we were doing that whole mountain package, and we didn't have 50s, we had 240s, which is still not as bad.
Yeah.
But we had 240s, and the line company when we were hiking was telling us to slow down.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
man.
literally, their dudes were falling out, and they were like, y'all have to stop it. And it was like that was when it was like, you know, you've been dogging on us for being in vehicles this whole time and how we can't do what you do,
Yeah,
but
now
now you're
watch.
telling us to slow down.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, watch this.
Did you have to have 40s because you were 5'9"?
What's that?
Did you have to carry the 40s because you were 5'9"?
Hey,
240, the 240 brought the 240.
Yeah, whatever you were.
The 240,
Yeah.
because I was 5'9". It's a smaller machine gun. Well, the 240 fits. The 240 fits my
you could
frame
sling
perfectly.
it. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
people would sling that thing, man.
Oh, you can shoulder fire a 240. It's not
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It's not. But I mean, when you talk about like we're all carrying the same weight in the pack with a rifle plus the 240, it's like you're carrying an extra. Actually, as a machine gunner, you probably still remember the weight of a 240, don't you?
Shit, hell no. I data done. Dude, I data done.
It's just flushed.
Maybe 26, maybe. Throwing it out.
I was gonna say like 40, right? 40 pounds, 42 pounds.
No, I don't
Do we
think
have
so.
do we have a Jamie here? Can we get a how much does a
Jamie, put that
240
on the
Bravo
monitor.
weigh? Yo, pull that up, Jamie. 240 Bravo weight. What is it? 27.6 pounds.
Hey, boy,
That was pretty good.
down
You're
off.
still on point.
Yeah.
A M240 Bravo is a 7.62 machine gun, belt fed. If it ain't belt fed,
Hey, again, data dump.
oh my God! If it
Bro,
ain't
I'm
belt fed,
telling
it
you.
ain't shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's true too. Dude, the 240, man, that is the bread and butter of machine gun.
Dude, I love that machine gun, dude. That
Yeah,
thing.
man. And
It's
then
just the fact that you could throw it over your back and then employ that in combat.
yeah,
It's the dope
you
machine
could
gun.
put it in mud.
Mhm.
And you know, I don't know if you remember, which when we were in the infantry training battalion, they were still teaching us how to do headspace and timing. So we
We talked about it in the last episode. Yeah,
yeah, man. So like we were one of the last 31
it was.
one of that, like we're the old school. We learned how to manipulate it, make the gun fire how you wanted it to.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? And then as they started phasing those out, and they had those like interlocking barrels with the timing already set, which I'd like to know how. I haven't researched anything, but I just wonder how those even are doing.
I was talking about in the last episode with Ross how like the headspace and timing with machine guns, for anyone that doesn't know, is like what made a machine gunner an artist.
Yeah,
It was like your gun could operate better than other people's guns
and that's
because
it exactly.
you as an artist painted a better picture.
Yeah. If I don't know, it's something that I noticed. I could crank my headspace and timing. I could mess with my timing to where my gun would fire quicker. But I think that's only because when I would our RTD right tighten down.
Right, tighten down.
Yeah. I was just able to really put my weight on that gun. It wasn't going anywhere. So
Well,
once
with your
I had-
size, a 50 cal wouldn't move you.
Yeah. But I mean, I was able to, shoot a 50 and be like, oh, well, I can go in here and mess with this and make it shoot how I want to shoot because I know I can handle it versus somebody a lot smaller might not be able to. Which, I mean, either way, man, you're working up there. That is one of the most.
It's a workout.
You're
I'll
up
tell
on
you
a
what. I shot. My job was to shoot missiles, and the best thing I've ever done in the Marine Corps was shoot a 50 cal.
Yeah, it is,
It's
man.
the best thing in the world.
I think that's one of the first motard tattoos I got was Ma Deuce on my wrist. I don't know if you
Dude, it's the
remember that.
dopest. You've had that tattoo for the longest time. It's the dopest tattoo you've got. I love the
Yeah,
Modus
I
tattoo.
do. And I just fell in love with it.
Modus is the M250 cal is like the technical term for it. M2 is the model, and what is it? The short term or like the nickname for it?
It's
the
just like that.
Modus.
It's because it just sounds badass.
Yeah, Modus, which is the 50 cal, is the dopest tattoo you got. Which is saying something because you're covered head to toe now, which is I'm
Yeah.
pretty envious of.
Yeah. It's
So-
I think go ahead.
I'm interested though, because we kind of got not ahead, but I'm interested though, before infantry school, before the DEP, which is, well, you talked about that. I was in the DEP too, which is the delayed entry program. It means you've joined, but you have to wait to get a slot to go to boot camp. Why did you even do it? What made you? What was your thought of like actually going in?
Man, this is something that I've even I've prayed about it sometimes to this day. I still kind of wonder why I did it.
Why?
I know there's a couple reasons that I've been able to pinpoint for sure, which I'm sure there's some underlying ones too. But I do remember, which it's weird because I can't remember shit nowadays. But I do remember, I think I was in first grade, man, when 9/11 happened. And I do remember, especially whenever I picked up Sergeant, I had made like an Instagram post because that was my goal. Because I was like, how many people, first of all, from like where I'm from, there was a very minimal amount of people I could even count or, recall joining the military. But I was like, how awesome would it be for me to do this and then pick up a rank that not many people ever think about hitting. So I had this obviously like that was my selfish reasoning. My unselfish reasoning was I remember in elementary school whenever 9/11 happened and our parents came and picked us up from school. And before they actually came and picked us up, our teachers had wheeled in, the movie day TVs, and they had the news up and was kind of like letting us know what's going on. Which we were in first grade maybe, or kindergarten. I don't know. Maybe
I was in 5th grade at the time.
Yeah. So I'm 27. So you're just a little bit.
I'm 31.
Okay. Yeah. So, around that time frame, wasn't fully able to like comprehend like really what was going on.
Yeah, like why it would happen or like who would cause it. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do remember like thinking to myself like, what, like innocent, like why?
Yeah.
Like, why are innocent?
Like who the fuck
dying?
would do that?
Exactly. And I just remember kind of like from then on out, I thought about kind of like this. I had this urge or this like drive to kind of want to be in some sort of like guardian angel type role, like whether it was protecting people from bullies, which wasn't a very good thing because I didn't hit my growth spurts until later on in life, so that didn't go too good. but it was that I remember that being like one of the I think that was like one of my first early childhood like spark moments of I will serve a higher purpose. Like I'm gonna do something like selfless at some point, which I'm able to like do some introspection and understand what that was now. But then it was just probably like, I just want to help people, So, which is cool. But then also I think that there's some,
like you said, when you said answer the call, like some people really do feel a calling to do it.
Yep.
It's just what it is.
And then when I was of age and after high school, it's like, I'm healthy, I'm young, I'm fit. Like I can do this. Like I'm fit for this. And I want to carry those burdens. If we got the call to do, I felt like I was strong enough to carry those burdens with me. You know what I mean? And it's not one of those things that like, not the whole Superman mentality, but just if anyone's going to carry this burden of like taking something away from someone or saving someone, I want to carry that burden. Because I felt like I could. So that was like the childhood thing. But then I guess,
it's interesting you say because you feel like you could.
Yeah.
Like you feel like that, and that's something that not a lot of people understand is that when you feel that calling, it's like because inside of yourself, you realize that if anyone should go, it should be me because I feel like I can do this. Yeah,
exactly. And I still feel like it to this day. I really do. And I think that's part of why I struggle with getting out. But that's the childhood side. And then obviously like I and it's something maybe I still struggle with a little bit to this day. Like I want to make my dad proud, man. And I don't know why I do, man. And it's because the respect I have for him and the impact he had on me, because I hated that son of a bitch when I was a kid. I did, man. I did. I resented him for a very long time. He was so hard on me. And which it's cool because now that we're adults, we can have these man-to-man conversations, and he's, kind of opened up and apologized about some things. And it's like, you don't have to do that, but like, I respect the hell out of you even more because you've done some introspection.
You've recognized your downfall.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but now, I mean, it's like, he's my best friend now, but I always wanted to make him proud. Which, I never grew up not needing anything. My dad made me think that we were poor growing up. So it was this weird, which we had money, like the older I got.
He had money.
Yeah, he had money, man. He worked at the post office for like 34 years. So he was racking in money.
Oh yeah, man.
So, but he raised me to be like very humble and like, don't be materialistic, put other people before yourself. So like, that was another big factor in that, was just like, he taught me to do that on like a family level, but I think I'm going to take it a step further and do that for people who I don't see, and the people who do deserve to be protected. And I don't know, man, it's a weird feeling to know that like, you kind of just, you're writing your life away for a little bit for something that's has really nothing to do with you.
Yeah, but it's easy to understand. It's like I grew up watching on television people jump out of a building.
Yeah.
Somebody's mother or father jumping out of a building to escape a fate that they didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
And if I feel capable enough, I'll fucking avenge you.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's funny because man, what's that movie, man? What's that Chris Kyle movie?
Lone Survivor.
Dude, man, that
American Sniper.
Yeah,
we just did a movie review. I should be fucking right on point with this.
But that right there is like, it literally, like what you just said, like hits that movie. Like for him, I don't know what it was. Maybe he was watching TV with his brother, and it's like he said, showed him hitting the Twin Towers, and he's like, look at what they did to us. And then boom, next thing you know, he's 30-some years old at a Navy recruiter's office.
In Ramadi.
Yeah, dude. And it's like, that's it.
Just smoking dudes.
Which, granted, there are some turds out there that get by, that enlist for all the wrong reasons. People suffer because of those people. But I mean, for the most part, man, like, I don't think very few people from like our two squads that we had in CAT specifically, like, man, we were and I'm not saying this in arrogance, this is full confidence. We were shit hot. And I think that I believe that.
Being shit hot. And I love that because, I've gotten feedback from some of our,
what the hell does that mean?
Shit hot.
It's another slang term.
I mean, it's when a turd is really warm in your hands.
Yeah. And
it's like being shit hot is like if you're the
hot shit, I know that.
Like hot shit, but like you call it shit hot, you know what I mean? It's just, you gotta throw some swagger on it.
It sounds better, yeah.
It's like hot shit with some swagger.
Like you're good. You're
I mean, like you're good. I mean, good. To be honest, if of any group that I had any experience with when in my time in the military, if I were to go to combat with any group, I would have chosen the group I was with.
Yeah. 100%.
Like if I were to have to be in a gunfight with any group of guys, I would have chosen the guys that I was with.
And it's not just because of the whole camaraderie, brotherhood. Like, it was because people were good at their jobs. We took, TCCC all the fucking time. Like all the different things that we did, all the gun drills, the TCCC, the 9-line drills, the close quarter combat stuff that we did, like the whole shebang. Like, we may have dicked off and joked around 80% of the time, but when it was time to get serious and put the work in, or punch your card to practice, everyone did. It wasn't really a joke. Like, everyone.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with the people who trained you. Like you have like because I love having Matt and Billy here because they weren't military. And so when we do this show, I get to kind of explain things to them, which kind of help remind other veterans of things they may have forgotten, or or anyone that may watch this show. Cause there might be someone watching this show that is thinking of joining, that's like really into the military, that doesn't have the experience yet. And they're just trying to get a feel for what it's going to be like. And so I love explaining to them things because you get to kind of like dumb it down a bit and explain all the things, all the acronyms we're saying and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
The stuff the recruiter don't tell you.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is that like there's some real deal shit to this that you're not told before you sign up. And once you sign up, you have no choice. So you have no idea what you're getting into. And so, but what you have is you have seniors and you have boots. And the boots are your subordinates, so the new guys, the guys that are like lower ranking, the guys that are inexperienced. And then you have the seniors, who are the NCOs, sergeants, staff sergeants, and the people that have either done a deployment or two, or more,
time in service,
a lot of time in, whatever your gig is. You've been around a lot longer, a lot more, you've been trained a lot more. And there's a lot of the subordinates, a lot of junior Marines that have been vocal about their seniors, whereas maybe there's a group that you didn't like. Maybe you didn't like your seniors. Maybe you just had that mentality where you're like, these guys are all assholes and they didn't teach me anything, and I got nothing from them. But the problem is that you don't realize, like, that still makes you who you are. Like I honestly, I've always said I've learned more from the bad leaders that I've had than the good leaders that I've had.
Yeah, and that's huge.
And leadership is, leadership in combat is one thing. Being able to command and control troops and be able to move and coordinate and actually utilize the assets you have at hand to destroy the enemy, that is one thing. But being able to like be a garrison leader and train Marines in garrison and make them feel safe and happy and fucking coddle their balls or whatever they want you to do, like, that's one thing. And they may have a bitter taste in their mouth for who you were, but they don't really understand your peer group versus their peer group. And when you say something like, our peer group was shit hot, the lower peer group may have their opinions, but I guarantee you, if you saw us do what we do for real, outside of the scope of what you thought we were doing, you'd be blown away.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, and I completely agree. But like one thing that I noticed is like with the whole, initially the whole boot senior thing, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever fucking seen. Because granted, a lot of our seniors were a majority of them, they knew their knowledge. They could apply the knowledge. The whole spectrum of applying it to the job was there. But then there was also those seniors that weren't that were kind of turds. And for me, I had a hard time, like, it wasn't, we were always told respect the rank, this, yada, whatever. But it's like, I had to draw the line for me. I don't want to name drop, but we were at a training thing, and somebody was like, you call me by my rank. And in my mind, I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I'm not going to call you by your rank because I do the same thing you do. I do it better. I'm a lower rank than you. And you've only got a year and a half in over me, but you're technically my senior. So like, it had nothing to do with, like, I don't have a problem with leadership, but I have a problem with, like, shit leadership. And that's one thing.
That's something that happens in the infantry that a lot of other MOs don't understand, is that, rank doesn't, we used to always say bill it over rank.
Yeah.
What is your job? Because a lot of us were section leaders. Yeah. Like when I was a section leader, I was a corporal as a section leader, and that was a staff sergeant's job.
Exactly.
So it's like, I'm a peer with the staff sergeant. I'm 2 ranks below him, but I got to call him staff sergeant. I'm like, we're both doing the same job.
It's weird.
And maybe I'm even doing it better.
Exactly. Now that's, and that's something that I used to kind of, again, it wasn't the whole, I hate leadership.
It is a struggle.
It's just like, I do the same thing you do. You should call me rank too. Like if it's a respect thing, you respect me too.
It's like you'd be saying like Corporal Riley, and I'd be saying Staff Sergeant so-and-so.
Exactly. And that's not how it works. I mean, maybe some. I remember, and if he watches this, that's awesome. Staff Sergeant Canal. He's probably a fucking
Dude,
master
he was,
sergeant or something.
dude, of all of the Marines I've ever known. Between them, you remember Gunny Smith?
Yes.
Okay, Gunny Smith is my like Mad Dog Mattis.
Yep.
But Staff Sergeant Canal, dude, yeah, he was probably one of the best boys.
Bro, I watched this man. I think we were in this is when we were doing our little ITX workup for our B surf, where we were possibly going to get. Did you remember for that like 2-week span where they had to switch over to deserts?
Oh yeah, because we were going to go to Turkey. There was a coup in Turkey.
Oh, was it? Okay, for some reason I thought it was we were about to go to Iraq or something.
No, it was when it was in 2015 or 2016. There was a coup happening in Turkey. We were going to go do embassy security.
Yeah, so here we are, like fake spun up, or maybe it was real. I don't know. But anyway, backtrack to ITX. I remember, and this is when they kind of shafted us too. I guess we were still technically boots, and we were drivers for a little bit.
Dude, I was a fucking Lance Corporal. I was a boot.
Dude, yeah. Oh, I had to have been too, but I remember like trying to drive, and it was like maybe 3 a.m, dude. And every time I look over, Staff Sergeant Canal would just be like this.
Just staring you down,
dude. Well, not like staring me down, but just like so like laser focused,
so aware.
Yeah. And then I remember he was like, okay, he said something like, he's like, you can go ahead and rock out for a couple hours. I was like, sweet. So I fell asleep like sitting up in those Humvees, which that was awful. And it was fast forward to maybe like 6 a.m. I wake up and I look over and he's still like hasn't moved, dude. And I'm like, what? Which, he came from the drill field, so that was kind of.
Yeah, but he was also Dark Horse.
Yeah, 3-5 Sane.
Documentaries about Dark Horse, man. Yeah. Those just had a rough deployment.
If you can get him on here, that'd be some.
I would, yeah, for real.
Yeah, and then what I was getting at was he pulled out these pills, like these little, like this. I don't
caffeine
know.
Pills,
bro. Caffeine pills, and he ate 800, maybe it was 1,000 milligrams. And I'm just sitting here in the driver's seat, like,
it's just like,
dude. And like, like we've got rippets and stuff out there and whatnot, but like, he eats them, and I was like, Staff Sergeant, can I ask you a question? He's like, yeah, what's up? I was like, how many milligrams of caffeine are you eating a day? He's like, it just depends. He's like, sometimes 2,000. I'm like. And I mean, him. He wasn't bullshitting.
Dude. Coffee,
dude. This, and I'm like, I think I made a joke about his blood pressure. That's the first time I've ever heard him laugh. But I was like, you're an animal.
Dude, but he also ran like a gazelle. There was no heart problem. He had no cardio issues.
He had that boot camp cardio.
He'd run you to death.
When does this end?
Dude, I remember I was on a promotion board. I was on a meritorious sergeant board, and I ended up picking up sergeant. From cutting score, I didn't get meritorious sergeant. That's because I botched my interview. Because what you do is you go in front of this panel.
Oh, I know.
Panel of dudes, and like all the higher ups ask you these stupid questions that like they know you don't know, but they want to like see like your
confidence.
Yeah, like how you could bullshit an answer or what, I don't know. Like it just, some of the questions I got, dude, were like, some of these things were like, bro, this is so outside of my wheelhouse. I don't even know how you'd expect me to know this.
Yeah.
But I remember he asked, because he was attached at the time, he left CAT and got attached to mortars.
Yep, I remember that. He
was with the mortarman, and he asked me this question about it wasn't high angle of flight. I can't remember what the question was. But before I joined the military, dude, I worked in aviation. So he asked me something about the flight trajectory or something like that. And I was like, I know a little bit about flight. So I just bullshitted some answer. And I ended up like just shitting the whole conversation, the whole panel. It was so bad. I like crash and burn the whole panel. But afterward, dude, all these guys, you could just tell they were loving the fact that I was just dogging it. But afterward, he pulled me aside and he taught me about what I screwed up. He explained it.
Yeah.
He gave me it in detail. And when I left, I was like, shit, now I know what he asked me. I know everything about it. And I felt better. Like, this dude took time out to like It was
Yeah.
just great leadership. It was really good leadership.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the whole, and like whenever we picked up the billet, if you want to call it a billet of like senior, I think like what embodied that, like for me, something that I had to constantly remind myself, which, you know, we obviously had some boots that were like turds, but we also had some, that we knew were already good and that were applying everything and they were trying. I went out of my way actually to like go to their rooms sometimes and be like, look, you guys are going to get slayed, but just know that you're not the reason. Like, you guys know your stuff. Don't stop studying. Keep trying. But I thought that was important, and I thought like that's something I had to do, because that's something that I kind of. It's not that I wanted the affirmation, but I think it's important that someone understands that, like, don't necessarily beat yourself up too much, because the whole "you're only as strong as your weakest link." That's, you know, especially in CAT and what we were doing. I mean, that's pretty spot on. Which, you know, and I think you and Ross had brought up hazing a little bit, which, you know, like, shame on the Marine Corps for trying to go soft. Now, granted, there is that fine line between it's
a fine line.
Yeah, it is a fine line, but at the same time, it's like, would you rather this happen here in a controlled environment where it may be considered hazing, or would you rather it happen in a combat zone and your best friend is just not there anymore because this person wasn't able to do their job or didn't understand something, or, you know, it's just like, to me, I never understood that. I got, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's do you want somebody who bitches out when you're at the armory doing gun drills?
Yeah. In the mud.
Or do you want somebody that'll run into oncoming fire? Or, you know, you never know who's going to be the next Medal of Honor recipient, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know who that guy is, but that guy, I guarantee you, if you talk to Kyle Carpenter, the Marine Medal of Honor recipient who jumped on the grenade, dove on a grenade, lived. There's not a lot of living Medal of Honor recipients.
No,
but the thing is if he went back to some of his training that some of his peers might have called hazing, he might attest to the fact that training was what made him be able to do what he did in combat.
Yeah.
And it's just, it may seem unfair at the time, but shit, it's for a reason.
It's got its lessons, but like, it was our job to explain why. Like, it's better here in a controlled environment than there without any sort of training.
Dude, every time I spank my son, when I'm done punishing my child, no, really, like, when I spank my child, when I'm done punishing my child and inflicting pain on my child, I pull him aside and I explain, like, buddy, this is the only reason this happened is because daddy doesn't like this, but you did this, which led this to happen. And this is why we're doing it. This is the only reason why we're here is because you did this.
My dad used to bring out the King James Bible right afterwards.
Yeah. Which that's good too. I mean, that's good too.
Thou shalt respect your parents.
Jesus.
But that's something that, like, it is like raising kids. You have to be a good parent. You're parenting a new generation of whether it's Marines, soldiers, sailors, airmen, whatever.
Yeah.
You're training a new generation. You have to parent them. Yeah.
What, to me, what was important too, and it just as much you, but like, we did it too. Like, we did it. First of all, it happened to us before, but then it also, like, we would do it with them. Like, you know, the whole, I don't know, like, just looking back at those times, what was it, Latvia? We were like -10. I don't know. It was colder than, I don't even remember.
Coldest I've ever been in the valley, the wind.
And it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're training in these environments, like in the most absurd environments where it's like super hot, you don't have any sleep, you don't have any food, it's super cold. Like, you have all these anomalies, but you're still training. But you're doing that. I mean, obviously you're doing it as a group. So you're building that brotherhood and that the bond, the trust, the love, all that stuff. But it's like, at the same time, you do all these things and you're in these suffering, like, chaotic conditions because if we got the call, it's not going to be like, all right, everyone just, load up, we're going, everything's good, everything's chilled. Like shit's gonna, like, you don't know what's gonna happen, dude. And I think
we're going to Boca. Everybody grab a Mai Tai.
Yeah.
Got umbrellas in our drinks. Let's hang out.
So it's like we did it with them. And it wasn't necessarily for bonding. I think that just naturally happens. I think that's part of that's how the brotherhood forms, especially in the
Stockholm
infantry
syndrome.
Yeah. But you do these things in these chaotic environments and these, I guess you'd like suffering, the cold, the heat, sleep deprivation, food deprivation, you do all these things because it's not ever going to be rainbows and butterflies whenever, our time card does get punched, so, I mean, you want to master the little things in not ideal situations because it's never going to be ideal. And I think that's
which is really something that is hard for people to realize. Like when you transition out and you go to your civilian job, it's hard for people to kind of comprehend that, like, you've put yourself in these places. You've put your body through things, you put your mind through things, you put your whole soul through things. I've said 100 times, depending on the story of, like, oh yeah, part of my soul is left there. Part of my soul's on that mountain. Part of my soul is left in that desert. Part of my soul is here, because I'm like, I've given 100% of who I was to this place, and it took part of it because of how hard it was to overcome whatever that was.
Yeah. And I think that's why, and again, this isn't dissing any other branch. I respect veterans at every veteran, whatever job you was, but the Marine Corps, the saying, once a Marine, always a Marine, especially in the infantry, I think that holds true because, like, that's something that will never, it'll always be a part of us. You can run from it.
It's something people even could make fun of, but it's a level of pride that even once a Marine, always a Marine. Yes. But even it's something about the infantry. There's a level of pride that comes with that just, it will, I don't, if it does leave you, I think you've done something wrong. There's a level of passion for what you did that if you don't carry with you, you'll be less successful. You have to figure, I mean, that goes for any branch or any job, like whatever passion or pride you had in what you did, you have to carry with you to the civilian world, because it's, I've said 100 times, like, I don't even remember the me before the Marine Corps.
I remember mine a little bit, but not really.
Like, I remember being out of shape. I remember smoking a lot of cigarettes and not being able to run a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't run. And then you do a 12-mile gas mask run and you're like, what can I not overcome at this point in my life?
Literally, it's such a limit tester too, which, I mean, our limits were never fully tested, but after a lot of the things that we've done, it's like, if I can do that,
it's like,
really not much I couldn't do if I really, exactly.
So interesting. This is a great way to segue, right? So, you talked about dark spells, right? Mm-hmm. I talked with Matt and Billy. I talked with them a lot. I'm really open. Like, I don't really care. And honestly, if me being open makes me vulnerable and people make fun of me, I don't really care. The internet sucks. People will comment whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit. What a nerd. Yeah, what a nerd. This guy's a pussy. I really don't care. Yeah. I really struggled when I got out. And I know a lot of guys struggle. And the coolest thing that happened to me was Wade got married. Wade had a wedding. Yeah, super small wedding. I know a lot of guys were like, what the fuck? I didn't get invited. Yeah. It was a really low-key wedding, really small. There wasn't a lot of people there, but I know a couple guys like Ross and Burgess went, and when we were there, we were hanging out at the wedding and we were just shooting the shit, talking, and it kind of got real for a minute. Everybody had a few drinks in them, and we finally kind of loosened up, And it was like, happens. Hey man, I'm doing really great. I'm doing this job. You're doing really great. You're doing that job. And then all of a sudden it turned into like, man, I'm not doing really great.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even bored. I'm fucking depressed.
Yeah,
I'm fucking miserable.
something. It's a void.
Yeah, like there's a fucking void in my body I cannot fill. And you know what? Like, just a quick side note. When I did my VA benefits doctors meetings, I had to see a psychiatrist.
Yeah,
And it's the only time I've ever seen a psychiatrist. And I talked to this dude. It was really awkward. I felt like I had to withhold a bunch of stuff. And the guy was like, "Do you know what you're going through? You're going through grief."
yeah,
Like, imagine like when you lose somebody, like you like your aunt dies or your grandma dies, and you have like a certain period of time where you're going through this grief period of like, she's no longer here, she's gone, death, blah, 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 misery, misery, misery. He's like, that happened to you, but with every single buddy that you knew.
yeah,
They're all gone. They're out of your life. He's like, you're going through like mass grief.
yeah, and
And
it's
it was
weird.
like, holy shit, I am going through mass grief. It was like,
Damn
it really,
doctors.
I left that, I was like, holy shit, I feel so good.
With mine, it was which I had it before the Marine Corps. I'm an open book too, man. I'm a huge advocate for it now. I'm not a youth. I still can't. The whole bad mouth. I don't think that's ever going to go away, man. But
No, man.
because
Fuck is a filler word.
I'm about to contradict myself to some people, but man, I know where I'm at, and I know where I'm at with God. But man, like I'm like the youth minister at my church. I'm not really the minister because I'm not.
Cool. That's awesome.
I haven't gone to Bibles. I haven't gone to seminary school. I'm like a youth leader.
Seminary,
yeah. So like I'm kind of the youth leader. I run a life group at my house every Thursday night for my church. I'm trying to always serving. Where was I going with that?
Well, it's something that comes along with it is just service. Finding a way to serve others is huge. Yeah, because that's why everyone calls it military service, right?
Yeah.
Like you served your country, you served your community. You're a servant.
Man, I was going somewhere with that, but I don't remember where I was going with it. You talked about grief.
I was just talking about the dark places, man, going through some.
Yeah, so for me it was and I kind of still deal with it. And the way if I see my psychiatrist, I think like every 6 months now, which means I'm doing pretty good, which is awesome. Thank God for that. But I've got stuff that I deal with, and a lot of it's military related, and a lot of it's like childhood related. But that's stuff that like men and women all over the world deal with. And I'm not saying to like blurt out your whole story, but there is so much power in being transparent and open. Because you might have a friend that's dealing with the same thing, and they're having those thoughts too, like, I'm a pussy, I'm crazy. And it's like, no, man, you're not. Like, this shit's real. Like, mental health is a real thing. Like trauma, it's like you can break your leg and go get an x-ray, and it's like, hey, your leg's broke. You got stuff wrong up here. It's not that simple.
Yeah, when you have the flu, you go to the doctor, you get checked out. Like, if you have a problem, that's something that I've always hoped for this show, was that I hope somebody that was sitting on the edge of the bridge ready to jump just happens to see this show and is like, dude, it's like we are all going through the same fucking thing.
And I was on that bridge 6 months after getting out, man. Everything was great those first 6 months, the freedom. I'm not a slave to the government anymore. I don't have to listen to stupidity. But at the same time, once that, like, again, the whole decompression is what my psychiatrist calls it. It was about 7 months after getting out. I went through this, out of nowhere, this huge dark spell. I was having these chronic panic attacks, which, I had this stuff. I had anxiety and stuff at a younger age, like 16, 17. It kind of started flaring up. So it's already there. But, after the little decompression
exacerbated
stage,
by
man.
other things.
And then it's like, out of nowhere, here it comes again, and it swept me off my feet, man, for a week. It's a long story, but I'm gonna try to sum it up a little bit. I was having these chronic panic attacks. I ended up losing like 24 pounds in 5 days.
I'm so glad to hear
dude, I wasn't.
I lost a lot of weight.
Dude,
Dude.
it was,
Yeah.
and I was scared. I was shaking all the time. I couldn't get these intrusive like thoughts out of my head, just negative thoughts like related to the
Yeah.
military and then also childhood stuff. And it was just like this constant battle within my own brain, and I couldn't shut it off. And that was the most frustrating part is like, why is this happening? Why am I thinking
Yeah.
that stuff? Like I'm
And
stronger
after
than
everything
this.
you've overcome, after everything you've done,
Yes.
after all the mental space, like you've put yourself through these mental
Yes.
challenges that you're like, it's like, how how is this going to beat me after
Yeah.
everything I've fucking done?
It did, man. And it
Yeah.
it almost crushed me. It did. I was in a very dark place.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was suicidal necessarily, but I was definitely fantasizing about death because
Well, yeah, and I agree because in like to his point for you, like to his point, like I will die a glorious death.
that's
That was your mindset before. I'm gonna die a
yes,
glorious death.
I'm a
That's
fucking
not by my
warrior.
own hand.
Exactly.
But it's like
I'm
if somebody looks at me wrong at the gas station, I don't give a fuck if I get in a confrontation, because if you want to pull out a gun, let's get in a gunfight. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
It really is a fucked up
is.
place to be.
It
It
is,
is a
man.
fucked up place to be. Yeah.
And that's kind of part of the whole. That's one of the few things I still struggle with is I crave that warrior's death.
Yeah.
It's a selfish thing. But it's real. It's very real among veterans.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at
Like, I'm
historically,
gonna die in a pile of brass.
exactly, and you know, and then obviously back to the whole thing. Anyway, my wife is who walked me off that ledge. She was like, "Pack your shit. We're going to the VA," and I was like, "Okay." I mean, that's if you're telling me this, then I know I probably need to go. So, you know,
Yeah.
did my whole checklist there, started taking care of my mental health. I'm prescribed some medication, but it's nothing I'm ashamed of. It is what it is. Everybody's wired different. There's no shame in it, but that's something that like sparked me to start taking care of myself more. So, my mental health, my spiritual health, I really got into being a follower of Christ and just being a better man in general, which being a follower of Christ makes you a better man. So that goes hand in hand. But so I mean, for me, I was in that dark spot, man, and it was a whole plethora of thoughts of like, I'm weak because this is what's bringing me down, but I've gone through this. Like what?
Well, especially when you go through depression and you lose weight and you look at yourself and you're like, I'm not the Marine I thought I was. And no, I mean, it's like, it really is. You look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, I wasn't the way I was before.
Mm-hmm.
Same way when I left professional sports. You're not suicidal, but you get it. You understand how
Right.
it could be.
Yeah, where you're like, I'm not going to kill myself, but I understand what would lead someone to do that. I think my wife would understand. Like she's heard me say things like that. It's like, I'm not going to kill myself, but I get it.
Sounds pretty good right now because I can't get out of this dark spot.
Because it was like, I love the movie Groundhog Day. You know the movie with Bill Murray? Where he has to go to this one place and he's stuck. The same day repeats over and over and over again. And he starts, after he realizes that he can't die because he wakes up the next morning.
Yeah.
He can't die because every day he wakes up in the same day. So he starts killing himself by train. He starts driving his truck off a cliff. It's just like, I have nothing better to do but to just think about this.
Yeah, man. And that's where I was. Yeah. And then obviously, steps were taken and got on some medication, got a psychiatrist, told him, all the stuff, like the whole shebang. It wasn't just military, PTSD, anything like that, but it's like childhood stuff too. And then military and then getting out. It's, things add up. And, the way he described it to me, with me, like one of my biggest struggles with the military per se is the grief of not having that brotherhood anymore. But then also, he put it in like layman's terms, and it's like stuck with me since. And it's something I can always tell a veteran that struggles with that like warrior's mentality, like craving a warrior's death. Like you're going out, like you said, like going out in a pile of brass. Something that I have to constantly remind myself. It's not necessarily reminding myself, but it's like during our time of service, we were like a slingshot that got pulled back and never got let go. So like there's that constant tension always in my life now because we didn't get that, you know, I don't want to say exactly. I don't want to say
you never got your dream of what you thought you were. Yeah,
exactly. Yep. I didn't get the burdens I wanted to carry. You know, you
feel like you played in scrimmages, but you never got to play in the Super Bowl.
It's the Lieutenant Dan syndrome, where it's like my grandfather died in this war, my father died in this war.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. Me and my wife watched the movie. You may have seen it, Jarhead, with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Of course, we did a reaction video to Jarhead a little bit ago.
That movie, it like to a T.
Link in the description, by the way.
Yeah, man, to a T. That's like kind of what I kind of deal with. You know, that final scene of them.
Well, that's why I loved it, because it was so realistic. It's like you finally get to where you're supposed to be, and you feel like you didn't fulfill your calling.
Now, to a civilian, to most civilians or someone who's not open-minded, that's going to sound crazy. You know, they're going to process that as, oh, you want to kill someone. That's your dream. It's like, no, that's not my dream. Wow. My dream is it was not even a dream. It's just like, I felt like my calling was to carry I wanted to save lives is what I wanted to do. And it's like, it's that constant struggle of like, just reminding myself, like, especially with being a Christian, like I have a purpose, and there's a reason that we didn't get a call to do that. So it's, you know, like there's a purpose. Like I have a daughter now, dude. How fucking cool is that? I have a 1 month old daughter.
I feel like the same way as like I've got kids too, and I feel the same way where I'm like, you know, what would the difference be if other things happened to me in my time in service, and I did have a child, and my 1-year-old, let's just say, you know, I got killed, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then I have a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
So it's like if I had a 16-year-old and I got shot in combat, it's like my 16-year-old was raised by me, you know, had my influence in his life. But now it's like, now I have this child who is going to just fantasize about what his dad was, who, you know, it is. And it's like, yes, I lost my father. He died. And maybe it helps him thinking like, well, my dad died in this glorious way. But at the same time, it's like, what kind of life is that to grow up in? And you have to think back to, it's like,
Alexander the Great, he wept because there was no more lands to conquer.
Alexander the Great wept because there was no more lands to conquer. But it's like survivor's guilt, but for your family. It's like your own kids are like, you know, my dad had to die doing this thing that he felt he had to do. And even if they grew up who's to say they don't grow up to disagree with it? Maybe they have political views where like, I don't think he should have been there doing that. But regardless, they may resent you. There's so many things to think of. That is like, that's one of the biggest things for me is that is people that don't have faith in something, whether it is Christian, whether it's Catholic, whether it's Buddhist, whatever your faith is, if you don't realize that like whatever you've gone through is for a specific reason.
Yes.
Whatever you've done, all the things that have led you to where you are today. I mean, I look at the world today and I'm like, thank God I have military background. Because my neighbors are good, my family's good, we're fucking safe. Antifa wants to run down this street, bitch. I've got body armor. We're gonna fucking go to town. We're gonna have fun. Well, I'm gonna show them what violence is. I'm gonna show them what fun is. We're gonna have a great time. It's a carnival in my neighborhood right now. And that's because of everything you've been through. All of the things have led you to where you are today. I'm glad you talked about a dark spell, because I think that for any veteran that watches this, for what it's worth, the point of this show is to talk about the fact the theme is the fact that you're not alone, right?
Yeah.
No matter what you did, no matter what you've been through, no matter what job you had, no matter what branch you were in, when you leave that part of your life, you go through something, right? It doesn't matter what that something is. It doesn't matter how dark of a place. Like dark is relative, you know what I mean? Like you can turn the lights off in your room. You think it's dark, but if there's a window in there, there's a little light coming in.
Right.
But some people don't have windows. You know, it doesn't matter how dark the room gets. Everybody goes through some period where there's a challenge that's outside of your scope of what you thought you were going to go through. You know, like your recruiter didn't tell you that when you joined the Marine Corps, you were going to go be this badass machine gunner, slaying bodies, and then you were going to go through fucking deep depression at the end of it. No one told you that.
No.
And even, yeah, you're right. And Matt's right. He said you wouldn't have believed it if he told you. Like,
No.
even if he did say at the end of this, it's going to suck. It's going to be worse than boot camp. It's going to be worse than every hard thing you've done. It's going to be worse than combat. It's going to be worse than all of the things that you've done. The worst part about being in is getting out. And I've told them that's, for me, the worst part of being in was getting out. So
it is.
I want to change the feel, though, because I know that you're pretty successful. You've got a brand new newborn. You've got a beautiful wife. You've got a home over your head. Like, people take things for granted, but you're doing really well. And I want to talk about transitioning from being a machine gunner in the Marine Corps and all the things that you've went through and all of the dark times afterward. But I want to kind of take the back end of this, the last chapter of this story. I want to talk about the good, and I want to talk about how you overcame it and what you went through to bring yourself, like if you were to give advice to yourself 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and you were to try to tell yourself, like, hey man, this is how you get here. This is how you kind of become successful in the civilian life as a Marine or as a soldier or as an airman or whatever. This is the kind of the algorithm to what you need to follow. Yeah. So let's kind of dive into the first days. Like, what was the first year like work wise? What did you pursue?
My first year out, I went to college. I finished my freshman year of college. I had intentions of going for
with the GI Bill.
Yeah, man, which is sick, by the way. I think I was I think I was banking like $2K a month extra.
PAH still and all that stuff.
Yeah, because I opted into the the Montgomery.
Montgomery 9/11. Yeah.
And there's a community college, literally right here in where I moved back to, and they offer this scholarship called a Reconnect. So I was able to attend 2 years of college completely free. So I pocketed every penny of the Montgomery bill, of my GI Bill while I was in. So
no wonder you got so many tattoos, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it all went. But I did a year. I finished my freshman year with like a 3.99 GPA.
Damn.
Yeah, which, damn is right. Exactly.
It was work ethic. You're used to work ethic.
Yeah, it was, man. It was a big shift for me because I didn't have any work ethic in high school. I just, I was an athlete. A lot of things, and I'm saying this is not cockiness. This is just me being able to look back. But there's a lot of things that came natural to me. So, like my size, I was blessed with size. I had some strength. I got into weightlifting like my junior year. I didn't start playing football till my junior year, but I never really applied myself. But I think for the high school level, I was very talented, especially for not applying myself. So, after getting out of the Marine Corps, or what I was getting at was like high school. I didn't apply myself. My grades were like A's and B's, and maybe made a couple C's, but that's high school. That's just a joke. But then college comes around the corner, freshman year. I'm taking, like not super hard classes, but classes that like kids that were, 18 years old that are like failing. They're like, I don't get it. And I've got like a 99 average, and that's not me being, again, I'm trying not to be cocky when I say it, but it was just work ethic. I would really, really hone in to the presentations, death by PowerPoint. I would really,
you're translating some of the things you've been through to
I would, and everybody learns different. I get it, but I knew ways that I learned. So I would take the things they were telling me, and then I would apply it how it works for me. So, I would actively listen. I would take notes a lot. I would study.
Taking notes is a big thing.
Yeah. That's something I didn't used to do, back in the day. first year out, freshman year of college, was going for exercise science with a minor in nutrition. I plan on being like a personal trainer. And I'm not to diss off on any personal trainers, but I think that I think specific jobs do require school, but I don't think that depending on the type of training you're doing, you don't need a fucking degree or a certificate to know what you're doing. But I also learned that from bodybuilding myself. Everybody's different. Everyone's, I mean, structurally, like anatomy wise, everybody's, pretty much the same. But as far as like what works for you, it's trial and error, man. Like it's not something you're going to learn from school. Like being a good trainer is like a trade. You learn it from doing it. And you also learn it from trial and error with people, I think, which that sounds awful, but it's the truth. I think maybe for a degree like that, college is okay for like a very, very small baseline. But from what I was pursuing, I had a goal. I had a long-term goal. I had a 10-year plan of I want to get this degree. I want to have my minor in nutrition. I want to build a warehouse gym. I want to have 15, 20,000 square foot, but I want to have it fit like I want to have a powerlifting area, a CrossFit area, a functional fitness area, a bodybuilding area. I want to open like my own nutrition shop where like we buy and we make shakes and stuff, protein shakes, pre-workout shakes, all this different stuff. I had this idea for apparel. I had an apparel line that I started. It never went through. I just kind of like let that, just roll off. I just don't, timing wasn't there, but I had this 10-year plan of like what I wanted to do with my degree and then with my money. And then I just kind of realized that like, I'm passionate about it, but I don't want to make it my life like that. You know what I mean? I don't want to burn myself out of.
Yeah.
So I kind of I didn't go back to school because I was like, school is really not for me. I learned more from people. Again, this reverts back to the whole, like, I think, training people and bodybuilding and certain things like that is a trade. You learn it, you gain knowledge from people, and you take the good with the bad and you throw away the bad. You have the good knowledge and then you apply it, which in turn turns to wisdom. So
Right.
that to me is why I was like, I don't think school is the best route to go for this, for my long-term plan. So
Well, that was how I kind of sold myself on getting my first job out of the military. Was I just told my boss when I was in my interview, I was like, look, I'm paraphrasing and I didn't really say these words, but I was like, look, if I can go from Joe Schmo to being able to be trained to be a combat effective Marine,
yeah,
like all I need from you is the knowledge. If you're willing to teach me what I'll learn it. Like it's taking that skill of being able to be a sponge and absorb knowledge and being able to put it into practical application and taking it into the civilian world with your leadership knowledge and what you know of planning and how to be precise in your actions and how to think through problems and critical thinking. I mean, like those skills translate no matter what your job is going to become. Like you can take that skill that you had before and translate whatever your passion is or whatever job you're getting into.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why I was so, I mean, who knows that the plan I had then might resurface. It might be one of those things where it just wasn't the right time, but I've done a lot of critical thinking. I've thought about what ifs. I've thought about like money problems. Do I want to, it sounds silly, but like, do I want to hire a family to help run my facilities?
You become a long-term thinker.
Yes.
Because you're always thinking through the next problem. You're always being able to see the next issue to overcome.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like you really are like it's funny. I always joke, like my wife sees in the short term and I see in the long term.
Yeah.
Like I'm always looking at the next issue that we might have to overcome. It may not have hit yet.
Yeah.
But I'm always trying to see like what's in front of me and then what I might have to do so I can have a contingency plan. And I have to be able to have a primary, secondary, and tertiary plan for everything.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's something that maybe, I think a lot of that's from the Marine Corps specifically. Like we don't have to live in like the present because like we're already here. Like you're talking about, like thinking of what ifs, the next steps. Like it's distilled in us, like, or it's instilled in us. Like we're here already. Like, I know what's going on, but also like what I'm really actively thinking about is what if, or what's next, or phase 2, whatever it may be. So no,
I think that's something to be said for the dark spots, like you were saying, is the dark spells is the term you coined, is that you have to think of like, okay, I'm here.
Yeah.
This sucks. What's next?
Yep. And for me, what it's always originally it was despair, when I first started dealing with it. But then now, if I have panic attacks or anxiety spells or depressive spells, it's okay. I'm here. I've been here before. I'm not going to die. Everything's going to be okay.
Everything's fine.
It sucks right now, but like, I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And I just have to keep telling myself that, even if I don't believe it deep down, I have to keep reinforcing that, because it's happened before. It may happen again, and I've gotten through it before. So like, there's nothing that's going to stop me.
Yeah.
So
I get these heart palpitations.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
Yeah. Where like my heart will beat and it'll almost like feel like I'm doing cardio, but it's only for like 2 or 3 seconds, right? My heart will beat super fast, like you almost want to be like I'm having a heart attack, and then you'll feel like you're having a heart attack, and then after 2 or 3 palpitations, it's done, right? It's done, it's over, and you're back to being baseline heart rate. And every single time I get palpitations, I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's good. Like, I'm okay. Do you remember the joke? Like, it was you and Caballero. You used to like try to pretend to finish each other's words. You were like, everything's fine. We're best friends. Everything's golden. I love you.
Know what we're talking about.
We're like, you're finishing each other's sentences really slow, so it sounds like you're good. Yeah. But I literally have to put myself to that mindset of like, everything's fine. You're okay. You're not dying. You're not having a heart attack. You love your family. Everything's good.
Yeah, man.
And then when it's over, and you're like, I'm back to me. I'm back to normal.
It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, but you know what though? I feel like, especially as somebody that has a faith, those moments are purposefully bringing you back to who you were, to overcome something, so that you can have a period of time where you feel like maybe you aren't as challenged as you were, maybe you aren't overcoming as much adversity as you are, but you're still at a point of your life where you need to remember who the fuck you are, where you came from, and whatever struggle you're going through right now. It's temporary, it's momentary. It's not going to be the rest of your life, and everybody else is going through the same thing. You just need to pick up your pack again, throw the gun on your shoulder, and keep fucking walking. You got to. What they always say was like, just take one step after another. It's like left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Just keep fucking walking. Just keep fucking walking.
Well,
just keep swimming. Just keep swimming, dude.
Like just specifically going off of like what you're talking about, rucking. The first thing you do in boot camp is that little pussy, what, 3 mile or mile? Yeah,
like a 3 mile ruck.
And
you feel like you're gonna die.
Yeah, and then but like by the end of it, you're like praising God. We're only doing a 3 mile ruck because this shit's cake. But
3 mile ruck is cake now.
Like at the beginning, you're like, this is miserable. But fast forward 3 years, you're like, hey, do you guys want to go run for 5-6 miles?
Yeah, we're gonna do 20K, no big deal.
Yeah. So, but it, like, you can apply that.
Put a gas mask on,
dude. That's some bro. Do you remember Landon? Shout out to Landon Beatty, by the way.
Dude, Landon Beatty with a gas mask.
Dude, he puked. Do you remember Gunny Smith was like, anybody breaks the seal, we're doing burpees. And dude, I just remember turning around, dude, and there was like puke just sloshing.
He was like, his eyes were floating in puke because it was stuck in his gas mask. He was like, look, I don't want, that's being for the boys, man. It's like, I puked in my gas mask, but I'm not going to break the seal because I don't want dudes to do burpees.
No, he didn't. But I just remember, like, that was one of those times where I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
But that's the thing for a lot of veterans, especially in like, and I've been like, me personally, I've been in some dark places, and I love talking to you, and I love talking to guys like Ross, and even like Wade lives 2 miles from me, which is a blessing, dude. I love having a friend close by. It's so great to be able to see a buddy that just brings you back to where you were, and just knowing that everybody else is going through that struggle. But if you think back to some of the things for any veteran watching this, and I love the idea of a veteran that's struggling watching this show and hearing all of us just talk about some of the struggles and understand, like, you've done some shit that is fucking ridiculous. Like, you think about running with a gas mask on your face, right? And it's like, you've been through that. It's like your newborn child crying and your job sucking and you feeling inadequate in what you're doing and all that stuff. It's like, dude, it's just like a gas mask run. At a certain point, it's going to end, right? All you got to do is make it to the end of the run. You pull the gas mask off, you go back to your truck, take a shower, you go get some Wendy's, and you're done. It's over.
Some Dunkin'.
At a certain point, all this shit ends, and you'll be over the hump, and you're going to be so proud of yourself and so glad that you just pushed through it.
Yeah, no, yeah. That's again just like kind of like just reinforcing what you're saying. It's like just how it relates to struggling, like mental health, something that bothers me now, or something that bothers anybody out there right now, and that debilitates you, where it makes you feel like in a place that you don't like to be. Imagine just stopping what you're doing and doing it like 400 push-ups right now. You're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
Now, do that for do that for 5 years straight. Is it really going to be as hard as it was the first time? It's not. It's going to be probably still maybe suck a little bit, but you've done it before. You've gone.
You're familiar with it, right?
And it's easier now. Yeah. And like for me, it's all, and it's like for youth. If I ever try to explain, which I open up to them about some things, and there's some things I don't. But like people with depression, anxiety, whatever it may be, it's like that's like 20 pages of a book, right? Of our 500-page book, it's 20 pages. We still hold the pen. Like we still are writing the book. We're in the driver's seat of the car. Like we may deal with this stuff, and it may always be there. We may always have struggles, but at the end of the day, we're driving the car, and it's just a passenger. Sometimes you have to learn to live with things, and that's okay. It doesn't make you weak or anything. But like you've done it before, and you've gotten out of it before. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, and no matter what, you look at yourself in the mirror and you changed. You look at your job and it's changed. You look at your family and it's changed. And you look at your friends and they've changed. But you're still the same human being that went through what you went through and have come out on the other side. And you're able to still overcome the same adversity. And especially like when I look at my people at work, and you're like, and you kind of almost want to rag on them for thinking that things are hard, right? But at the same time, when you're going through your own life and you think something's hard, you're like, man, think back to when you did that. Think back to when that's why I love looking at pictures, because like you said, like we don't take enough pictures, but I have a picture of me and Ross. And it was something that I brought up in the last podcast, was like the coldest I've ever been in my life was when we were AP Hill and we did a foot patrol, and like usually we're mounted, so we're in vehicles, but anytime I love foot patrols. I love being dismounted. So I remember doing a foot patrol. We came back from it. We got back to where everyone was, and someone was we had to send out another patrol, right? We had to put out another patrol because somebody else had to go. They were looking for another NCO to go, and I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. Like I'll go back again. And it started snowing, and the snow fell, and the snow got onto the high grass, and the high grass was waist high, and everything from the waist down got wet, and it dropped down to below freezing. Dude, I remember getting soaking wet, super cold. And I go back to that one picture, right, of me and Ross when we finished that patrol. We got back to the trucks, and honestly, we got back to the trucks, And everybody that had been in the trucks was like giving up their seats for the guys that were on patrol so they could get in the trucks that had heat.
Yeah.
And I remember all of us were like, nah, man, I don't need the heat. And it was like you were the coldest you've ever been in your life, and you're not even taking the heat. You're like, fuck the heat.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm fucking good.
Fully
But it's like,
embracing.
why are veterans losing that mindset? I don't need the heat. I know I'm cold. I know I'm freezing. I'm shivering like a fucking child right now. Why do I not give up the heat for somebody else so I can keep pushing through the hard shit?
Yeah.
That's the weird part about transitioning, is that it's like you're almost forcing yourself. You're forcing yourself to go soft.
Yeah.
And you realize, like, no, I'm a hard motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, man, that's good.
But it's
good.
It's weird. It's a weird thing that happens to your mind. Everybody goes through it.
Yeah. And I've had a couple breakdowns. I'm surprised she hasn't been in here to check on me. She's wanting to go tan. I have to take daughter duty.
Good for her for watching the daughter this long. I appreciate her.
But you know,
cheers to her.
Cheers. I think I'm out of beer. No, but I've had a couple breakdowns, and it's always a couple beers or some whiskey before it happens. But you know, I've literally broke down and cheers to her, kind of with what you just said. Like, it wasn't necessarily, I wasn't even really thinking about, I wasn't in a bad spot. It was just kind of like I used to be a bad motherfucker.
Like I don't feel like I'm the me I was before.
Yeah. But I mean, I am. I've just learned to control. I've learned to control violence. I've learned to like control the chaos, like that's within my, like, you know.
Yeah.
I was really angry when I got out, so like I had some work to do, man. But I'm still,
especially as a father of a girl. It's like you have to learn to be sensitive. You have to learn to dial it back.
Dude. Well, I think that's why God gave me a girl first, which I prayed for it. I prayed for a girl first because I was like, God forbid I have a son first. I mean, seriously.
I need some estrogen in my life, man.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's just like, especially even looking at the Marine Corps now, which thank God, don't want to step on any toes. You obviously, it's your all's podcast. You guys can block this out, but like letting women into infantry, man, like that's
a whole podcast
nuts.
In itself, man.
It's nuts, man. And it's not even just that, but it's just letting certain people in the infantry. It doesn't have to be women, but it's like, man, some people just are not bred for that. And the Marine Corps is doing a huge disservice by letting people squeeze by and letting softies into places where they shouldn't be, because at the end of the day, somebody, like, this is obviously worst case scenario, but that's how you have to think. It's not, am I going to hurt their feelings? Are their feelings going to get hurt? Are they going to break their hip? Like, who gives a shit? It's part of it. Like, it's part of the job. Shit's going to happen. But think bigger picture. The softer you let the infantry get, like,
oh yeah,
a mother is going to lose a son. A kid is going to lose their father. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's so crazy to me. And I'm glad. And that's one reason I am glad I got out when I did, because I could not be in there with where politics are now. I really don't think I could, because I could. And I think a lot of us couldn't. You hold yourself to such a high standard, and you hold your peers to a high standard. And nowadays you can't hold people to standards because you're who knows what. I mean,
but when you take that mindset to your life afterward, right? You think of, like, you know, I used to do a job that was, you know, life and death. You know, there's not many jobs out there that if you fuck up,
you die.
You know,
your buddy.
productivity may drop, or you may not make somebody as much money as you think you can, or, you know, there's, you know, there might maybe somebody has a bad sales day or something like that. But there's not many jobs out there where it's like, if you don't do your job properly, a life may be taken, right?
Yeah.
But then you translate that to the civilian world, and it's hard to find commonality. Like we always said, like, unless you became like a cop or SWAT or SRT or some kind of, you know, something that held a gun for a living, the infantry didn't really have a way to like translate their job to the civilian world. So all of us got jobs that were like, a lot of us aren't really doing like when I got my first interview finding a job after the Marine Corps, he was like, well, you know, what's your resume look like? And I was like, I don't know. Like, if you want to shoot somebody, like I'm down, but like, I don't really have any other skills other than that. And then maybe what I did before the Marine Corps, which was high school level jobs to aviation, but it was just was like, I didn't really have anything that like made sense to today for me. And I think a lot of veterans are at that same point where it's like, how do I translate what I'm doing now to, I did. We did peak early. That's the problem, is that like a lot of veterans felt like even, and that's why we love this show, is like translating to, like, Matt's a professional athlete, I'm a veteran, and we're talking about like peaking early, right? Where it's like you reach your peak and then you go talk to an employer and you're like, I can't really relate to what you do, but like, bro, just teach me and I might figure it out. Like I yes, I'm no stranger to hard work. Like, I know work. You want me to like work 60 hours, 80 hours a week? Like, I'll be there. I'm like, it's all, does your company have rippets? Because if rippets are a thing, like, I'm fucking there. Like, let's do it.
And that's something that's, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Oh, I was just like, for me, I had just a couple of jobs here and there. I mowed for a buddy commercially, which is
like
ironic.
A landscape company.
Yeah, like a lawn care landscaping company, and I loved it. Working 60 hours a week for somebody else. But it was
being outdoors helps.
Yeah, man. So, and I did it. I you don't have to put this in there either, but I was a trainer at Planet Fitness for like 3 months. While I was in school. Yeah. So
you were the epitome of a lunk. What are you talking about?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. But like, fast forward through some growth, some introspection, some motivation, finding out I'm having a daughter, and just knowing my worth, knowing my work ethic. I got to a point to where I was like, I cannot make someone else money. And that's just me.
I love that. I hate making other people rich.
So I decided about
you have too many skills, man.
Yeah. Well, I got into woodworking. Initially it was just going to be a hobby, just like working out, but then had a nick for it. And then next thing you know, I'm getting orders. I mean, I'm getting big, like pretty big commission orders. And that's a learning process. I've had a couple mess ups. I've refined, some things here and there, but like, other than that, that's something I do in the winter time. And then, about a year ago, I guess, maybe a little less, I actually took the leap and stepped out, and I opened my own lawn care and landscaping business myself. So I'm a solo operator. Awesome. I don't answer to anybody. I'm the one with the overhang. I've got my truck, my trailers, my mowers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm the one that's risking it all, but I'm also the one that's benefiting all the work that I'm putting in. So like,
so 100% of the effort you're putting in, it's going back to you. 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. Which there's nothing wrong with anybody who does work a normal job. I just knew that like it would make me mad if I was doing that. So I
think a lot of veterans, who have been under the thumb of, the lack of freedom you have, the government, the chain of command, the leadership you had, finding a way to work for yourself afterward is, that's something I did. Was I really did. I loved, I got the job after I got out to support my family. And then afterward, I found a way to just make my own money. And it changed the way that I felt about life. It really did. Every dollar I made was like, if I spent money, I was like, well, that's 3 hours of work. And everything changed. It's like, all of a sudden you're like, well, I got to work. And I know what I do for 3 hours. I know what 3 hours of work cost me physically. It's like, if I want to buy this, it becomes this like weird, you become more frugal. You're like,
it's like a spider web of thoughts of like logistics, labor costs.
Yeah, you really do.
Different things.
And then you rely on your military training of like, how can I pre-plan for things? How can I think ahead? What are the contingencies? Do I need
BAMSIS.
is this going to happen? Yeah, BAMSIS.
Yeah.
It's like you're planning.
And then
There's something to lose for sure. Money.
big time. Yeah. Which, that's with working for yourself. That happens. It's part of the learning curve, man. It's a trade.
And sometimes, to your point, military guys need something to lose. And for us in the military, it was life.
Yep.
And afterward, it's like, and one of the things that I love coining the term, like, what is your new mission?
Yeah.
You have to find, because like you had a mission before, you had something that drove you, you had something that like kind of led you to do what you did. And like, what afterward, what is it? What is your new mission? Whether it's, you have a daughter now, you have a 1-month-old kid. And it's like, I have to do whatever I have to do to support my child. And if that means going back through the dark places I was in before and pushing myself through tough times, I have a mission. That's my kid.
Yeah.
And if that is what drives you, if it's your spouse, your family, even if it's just selfish and you're single and it's yourself, and it's just, I want to set myself up for success, you have to find some new mission that's going to drive you to do what you do.
Yeah.
If you were to give yourself the advice from somebody who was 4 years younger, if you were to talk to yourself when you signed your D214, if you were to just say, hey man, check it out. Because I feel like for people who may be still in, that are thinking of getting out, or B, people who have just gotten out that have hit that dark stage. Let's talk to that guy, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk to the guy. Let's talk to you when you're at your lowest, and because I know you're really successful. You're doing a really great job. You've invested in a lot of things. You're working for yourself. You're making your own money, which is really rewarding. I want to talk to, because sometimes I talk to me when I was at that point, and I feel like if I could give myself advice then, I would say certain things. What is your take on that?
Man, so I will say that there are times where if I'm having like a really good week, or maybe a good couple of days where I'm not feeling on edge, or if I'm not feeling depressed or something, I almost force myself back into an uncomfortable feeling. And I think I do that sometimes subconsciously without really meaning to. But there are times I've done it to where it's almost like I remind myself like I'm not invincible, like I'm still going to feel pain. I haven't mastered this yet. And I may never, but I think that's the point of pain, is that there's always a lesson in pain. And the lesson might not be learned until after the pain is over. Right. So I'm not saying like I go out of my way to make myself depressed. What I'm saying is I'll remind myself of times where I was in those very dark places, and I can be like, hey, you got something out of that. You went through some pain, you went through a valley, but at the end of that, there was a lesson. Like whatever the lesson was, maybe I went through something that God eventually wants me to use to help someone else. Or maybe it's something for myself, my daughter, my wife. Maybe it's just to callous me and strengthen me. But if I was to give myself advice, man, it would, dude, that's a deep question, dude. It's probably just, I don't know, like just to start it out with an old Marine Corps acronym, man, is keep it simple, stupid. Don't overcomplicate things. Take things with a grain of salt.
I've always said, it's like room clearing, right?
Yeah.
You can't clear a whole building. You got to go room by room.
Room by room. And
you got to open one door. You got to face that challenge. Whatever happens when you crest that threshold, you gotta deal with that. And then when you clear that room, you move to the next room.
Yeah, exactly.
And so on and so on.
And I mean, even like with CQB stuff, like what's that? What's the saying? Slow is fast as slow.
Smooth as fast.
Yeah. I totally butchered that. But I mean, if you can master something slow, you can master it fast as well. Because that's the whole crawl, walk, run. It's the same principle. But man, I think if I was to really give myself like solid advice, it would probably, with what I've dealt with, and it sounds like you've dealt with it too, man. And there's probably a lot of vets out there and athletes and just people in general. Everybody's got a story, man. It's, but I think I wish I could go back and tell myself like I'm a savage servant now, and 4 years from now, I'm still that same savage servant. When I say savage servant, I mean, I served a higher purpose than myself. I put others in front of myself. I still do that now. I did it then. Just because I'm not actively in the Marine Corps and I'm not in that lifestyle, I wish I could go back and tell myself now that I still stand between good and evil, and I do it willingly. But man, it's just
now it's for your family and for your friends and for your community. You're still it is a form of servitude where you're especially with the way the world is now, is you're thinking of like, I have a newborn, I have a wife, I have friends, I have family. It's like even if your job is unfulfilling, there's ways to find a new mission in your life that is going to drive you to push past the hard times.
Yes, everything has a purpose. I mean, for me, a lot of my purpose is in Christ, which has helped me a lot. Shout out to God, man. But on a more, that's such a deep question, because I mean, you know that there's so many people out there that are in those spots. I think I would really go back, which I'm doing it now. I've been really honed in on it now for a couple, maybe 2 years now. I've really been focused on it. And it's three things. It's three things that I constantly remind myself. I've got everything in my life kind of compartmentalized, but the three things that I do constantly remind myself is I have to show compassion.
To others.
Yes, I have to be compassionate, because everybody's got a story. Everybody's going through something, whether they want to admit it or not. Everybody's going through something. So I try to be compassionate. I try to give forgiveness and show forgiveness all the time, because if I can't forgive someone for something, even if they're not truly sorry, then I'm giving them power over my life, and then it affects my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which, whether that's anger, jealousy, whatever it may be. So compassion, forgiveness, and just it sounds cheesy, but man, love, like just loving people. I mean, it's easy to love people that are easy to love. It's hard to love the ones that you think don't deserve it, or the ones who are hard to love. And that's such a general statement to make, but it's the truth. And I think that there is more power. I think that out of everything we went through and the things that we've accomplished, I think that if I can learn to master those things and constantly strive to do those things, I think I will be the most lethal weapon God intended me to be, because I know I can thrive in the chaos.
Lion.
I know that I was at one point, which I still am, but I'm saying I could control the chaos. Like, we thrived in chaos and violence, and we learned to control it. Now I master this. I'm the most lethal thing. Like, I go back to the whole savage servant. Like, I'm what God, I think, would want of me, is to be capable of doing things. I don't know how to word it.
It's a high violence under voluntary control.
Yeah.
God's given me the tools to where I can use violence only when it's needed, but I think he hasn't given me these tools, but he's laid them out in front of me to work on them, which is compassion, love, and forgiveness. And I think that is what I would tell myself 4 years ago, is that everything's going to be okay. You're going to go through pain, but just work on these 3 things. Because I think something for me that I've noticed is, and you mentioned it earlier, staying goal oriented. If I'm constantly pursuing something like that, because I'll never master those. I can go my whole life and I'll never truly master them. But it's one of those things that I will always be able to pursue. It takes, I don't get stuck in here. I don't get stuck in the dark spots as often, because I'm chasing a better version of myself.
Yeah.
So that's a deep, I don't know. I've never had a deep question like that, dude. So that's
awesome. I love hitting those points, because I think a lot of people are trying to navigate the waters, man. And I don't know, it's a hard place to be, and it's a hard thing to overcome. But my biggest theme for everything is like, look, you've overcome more. And no matter what you've been through, you've overcome worse. You have to just stick to it, find a new mission, figure out what's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And honestly, and just realize that, like, you're not the only one that's gone through this.
Yeah.
You're the one of a million.
Yeah.
That has felt the same exact way. I mean, you're unique in a way, but at the same time, you're one of a million. We're all going through it.
Just like everyone else.
Yeah, you're just as unique as everyone else. You're going through the same thing we've all gone through. And that's, like I said, at our buddy's wedding, it was great I didn't like to hear in the conversation about how everyone was going through a hard time, but man, it was great to hear that it wasn't just me that was going through a hard time.
And that's what it takes, though, man. Like the platform you have and your friends are using, like, this is a great step to just saving another one, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
that's it. It's just, if one person watches one video that just is like, hey man, realize that we're all doing this. We're all in the same boat. And that was one thing I talked to Matt and Billy about, was like, if I gave myself advice, it was like, dude, reach out to your buddies, stay close with your buddies, talk to your buddies, just be close with the people that you knew and stay with them, because they're all going through it. You're going through it. Talk to them and be transparent about it, and just let them know, like this is what even if it's embarrassing, it's weird, it's hard to talk about. These are your best friends, right? Yeah. Like if these people were supposed to die for you, right? You're supposed to take a bullet for me. Why do I feel so awkward about telling you about my weaknesses and the things I'm going through? Why is it a weird stigma to just say, like, I can't call Kilgore and be like, dude, I'm struggling with this. It's like, that's the person you're supposed to reach out to.
Yeah. Like,
because if anyone gets it, it's you, right? It's like, if anyone gets it, it's one of your buddies. It's one of the women or men you serve with. And
I'm very guilty of that. I'm awful about reaching out, checking on people. That's why I like it.
Life gets in the way.
Man. It's tough. But I love it anytime our group chat goes off, because it's like, even if I don't chime in, it's like they're there.
Yeah, I love when the boys start chatting.
Yeah, it's always
good. Honestly, this was great. I love to. I've had a lot of people on the show, but I have a guilty pleasure for guys I've been with. Man, I love talking to friends of mine.
We've suffered together.
Yeah,
we've seen some weird things. We've done some crazy things.
Yeah, and it's honestly great for me, because my guilty pleasure for this show is just being able to selfishly talk about the things I love and I'm passionate about, and doing it with friends of mine is awesome. So I'm really glad you did this. Shout out to your wife for watching the kid while we just chatted it up.
Yeah, I would. If we got time, I'll bring her in real quick. You can put her in the video.
Yeah, shout out to the newborn.
Thumbnail.
Yeah, we got to get a thumbnail anyway.
Kilgore Jr. She's got my eyes, man. Hey, bring her in here.
What?
All right, I love you, bye. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm kind of in trouble. It's all good.
I hope she has your eyes and not your size.
That's what we were talking about, man. She's so man.
She's gonna be 6'2", 210, just a beast.
I hope not.
Yeah, honestly, in this day and age, man, I hope so. I hope she pushes all the boys away.
Yeah, well, that's what I hope too. I hope I don't have to do the crap.
Yeah, she can do the heavy lifting, man.
This girl though, that's a whole nother thing though. But man, she's got a story already, man. We almost lost her. It was an emergency C-section wrapped around her head twice.
Umbilical cord.
Yeah, man, which is pretty common. But then Jessica she prolapsed the umbilical cord, so she gave birth to the umbilical cord.
I'll tell you what, for any veterans out there that have kids, if you're struggling to find a mission, that's your fucking mission.
Yes.
That is your fucking mission right there. If there's no drive to live and push through the dark spots that you're going through, if you have a child, dude, that's it.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Because my son has literally set me up on that ledge and at the same time talked me off it, man.
Isn't it crazy?
It's amazing how fast that turns, man.
But yeah, I'm blessed to have her. I'm glad she's here. And I'm really proud of Jessica, man. It was emergency C-section last minute. All she had was an epidural, so they were slicing her open before any pain meds could get in. So she's a warrior, son.
You could have double X or XY, but I'm telling you, I'm glad I was born with the chromosomes I've got. I have mad respect for people that push a human being out of their body. I've been through some hard shit, but that is some different hard shit. All right, let's see the baby.
She's a sleeper.
Oh, everybody be quiet.
He bopped her in the face.
With his paw, and she still slept through it.
Come here.
Comment below for how cute this baby is. Look at that thing.
Hang on. Bro.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to get a good one.
How cool is it though to go from slapping the receiver on a 50 cal to holding that fragile little thing?
Dude, it's weird, man.
It's a weird transition, dude.
And it's funny though. I hope she can't hear me say this, but she just the moment she was born, it's like you're just softer than baby shit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, immediately,
dude,
it's a transition to.
I have lost human beings in my life that didn't make me cry, and the moment I saw my son pop out, I was bawling like a baby.
Dude, yeah, it was nuts. But this is Harper Lee.
Oh man,
she was 6 pounds 7 ounces. She's more of a warrior than I ever was. So
yeah, dude, especially after all that.
She might be milk drunk right now. So
yeah. Dude, I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so glad to see you happy. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. Likewise. I'm glad you guys had me on.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you doing this. It was good to see you.
Let's do a part 2 with the crypto stuff.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah, I want to do a part 2. We're gonna talk business, crypto. I want to talk crypto because I know you're you were in the first. You were there first, so.
Kinda. I'm kind of out of it, man. I liquidated all my crap and got out while it was high. But yeah, I got into Bitcoin like super early. And then it obviously came to a crashing halt.
Yeah.
I made a huge lick on Dogecoin. Funny story with Doge, man. I 10,000x to my investment in Doge. But had I waited and sold it about 4 months ago, I'd be a 7-figure, 8-figure millionaire. So it's kind of like sickening at the same time too. But
yeah, it all goes back to, dude, like everything happens for a reason. Everything you've been through has led you to where you are, and you need to stick it out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But man,
don't pull out, man. Don't pull out.
Literally.
Well, dude, cheers to Harper Lee. I hope her the best health. I wish that I hope she is not beautiful and stay away from the boys.
Well,
but knowing where she came from, dude, you got your work cut out for her.
Oh, I know.
Yep.
But man, that's it. We'll have to get together soon, Jordy.
Yeah, dude. It's good to talk to you. I
And
love you,
too.
man.
Love you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Yeah, man. We'll talk again soon.
Yes, sir.
Bye, Harper. Sleep well. Stay asleep.
It's a milk drink.
Later, dude.
Later, guys.
All right, so if you made it all the way to the end, we appreciate you watching. I hope you got something out of that conversation. I know I did, and I'm sure Jon-Michael did as well. Make sure to subscribe to Small Town Big Sound. We've got a few other videos coming out soon. Hit us up on @TheFullyVettedShow on Instagram. It's a direct line to me, so if you want to come on the show or you have any ideas for any videos in the future, just reach out. If you need anything, stay in touch.